Okay, Reddit. Deep breath. Holy freaking moly. You guys are not going to believe the absolute saga I've been through. Seriously, grab some popcorn and maybe a stiff drink, you'll need it, because this is a multi-part epic with more twists and turns than a pretzel factory explosion. It's got family drama, legal battles that would make your head spin, and a villain so ridiculously awful he makes daytime soap opera antagonists look like cuddly kittens. I'm 18 and I inherited my late father's house, and this guy, Mark, picture a used car salesman who thinks paisley vests are the height of fashion and whose moral compass points straight to hell, somehow convinced himself he was entitled to it. I bided my time, documenting everything like a freaking squirrel hoarding nuts for the apocalypse, and then I dropped the truth bomb at a so-called family dinner. The fallout? Let's just say it's been eventful. I'm here to vent, share, and hopefully give you all some vicarious satisfaction because, honestly, I need it. The family dinner was like a freaking performance art piece of awkwardness. Everyone was trying so hard to be normal, but you could cut the tension with a knife. Mark, of course, was being his usual over-the-top self, holding court and bragging about his booming online business, which, as far as I could tell, involved selling overpriced scented candles with names like Serene Sanctuary and Ethereal Embrace. I kid you not. He even patted my hand all condescendingly and said, you've always had a bit of a creative memory, dear. Like that time you swore you saw a unicorn in the backyard. Bless your heart. Like, seriously? Classic gaslighting 101. That little comment was designed to plant a seed of doubt, to make everyone question my reliability. And that's when I struck. Mark, I said, my voice surprisingly steady. I was shaking like a leaf inside, cutting right through his self-congratulatory ramblings. This house is mine. I slid the property deed and the inheritance papers across the table. The thump of those documents hitting the wood, pure. Freaking music. It was like the sound of his whole world crumbling. His face, usually all smug and self-assured, went through this hilarious rainbow of emotions. Shock, rage, and then this little flicker of pure unadulterated panic. What? What is this nonsense? He sputtered, his voice all weak and shaky. Proof, I replied, holding his gaze. Dad left it to me. We kept it quiet because, frankly, we knew you'd react exactly like this, a full-blown, grown man toddler tantrum. My mom, who's been under his thumb for years, finally spoke up. Mark, it's true. We should have told you earlier, but you've been so domineering. Everything had to go through you. We were scared and, honestly, just tired of fighting. Domineering? He scoffed, his eyes bugging out. I've been the provider, the rock of this family, and this is how I'm repaid? With lies and betrayal? Provider? I challenged, practically throwing the stack of rent receipts I'd been meticulously collecting across the table. They practically vibrated with my righteous anger. You mean collecting money for a house I own? That's not providing, Mark. That's called extortion, or maybe even fraud, depending on what the lawyers say. He slammed his fist on the table. The glasses literally jumped and yelled, "You ungrateful brat. I'll sue. I'll get this house back, and you'll be begging me to take you back." Doubt it, I said, pulling out a letter from my lawyer, Sarah. This woman is a shark. Seriously, she could intimidate a grizzly bear with her glare, and her legal skills are razor sharp. My lawyer says you have absolutely no legal standing. You have 1 month to get out. If you don't, we're calling the cops. Mark's face turned this shade of purple I've only ever seen on really, really old eggplants. You think you can just throw me out? After all I've sacrificed, after all these years I've dedicated to this family? The only sacrifice I've seen is your sacrifice of basic human decency. I said, my voice shaking a little now, but I held my ground. Now, please leave before I call the police and have you removed for trespassing, because that's exactly what you are. He stormed out, knocking over a chair in his rage, screaming, "You'll regret this. All of you. I'll make you suffer." My mom and I just sat there, stunned. The air was thick with his anger, but also with this weird sense of freedom, like the chains were finally off. Update 1. The eviction notice was served, and Mark, being the petty, vindictive man-child he is, went full scorched earth. He started bombarding my mom with these pathetically manipulative texts, accusing her of destroying their love, crushing his dreams, and even writing some awful poetry about his broken heart. Seriously, it was cringeworthy. My mom, finally free from his toxic BS, blocked his number. I literally did a virtual high five with her. She had also started the long process of blocking everyone that Mark had manipulated over the years into believing my mother was horrible. Then came the sabotage, a series of increasingly ridiculous attempts to make the house unlivable. First, he tried to drain the hot water heater, leaving this childish note, "Oops, looks like someone's taking cold showers." I rolled my eyes, fixed it with a YouTube tutorial, thank you internet, and installed a super secure lock. I call it the Mark-proof lock. We also beefed up the security system, adding more cameras and motion sensors. This house was turning into Fort Knox. Then he tried to clog the plumbing with cement mix. Like, who does that? It could have cost thousands to fix. Luckily, Sarah, my amazing lawyer, had told me to install security cameras. Best advice ever. The footage of Mark covered in cement and swearing like a sailor who just lost his parrot was priceless. Seriously, I'm thinking of framing it. While cleaning up the cement mess, I found a crumpled up piece of paper that Mark had dropped. It was a printout of an online article that talked about identity theft, and part of it was covered in cement. My blood ran ice cold. It wasn't just him being childish and petty anymore. Sarah, being the legal badass she is, was livid. "He's clearly trying to damage the property," she said, her eyes gleaming with righteous fury. "We'll use this against him in court. He's building his own legal grave, one cement-filled pipe at a time." This wasn't just about the house anymore. It was about our safety. I got a restraining order, using the security camera footage as evidence. "He's a threat to us and the property," I told the judge, my voice steady. "He needs to stay away, Your Honor. We intend to stay in our home." The judge agreed, adding a special clause to the restraining order that Mark couldn't come within 500 feet of the property. Mark, now fully embracing his role as the villain in a bad Lifetime movie, decided to unleash his inner artist. The results were something else. He sent my mom a framed photo of their wedding day, but he'd scratched out his face and replaced it with a baboon's. "Seriously. I think it's a more accurate representation," my mom said, laughing so hard she cried. It was like years of pent-up frustration just pouring out. We hung the picture in the hallway, a monument to his ridiculousness. Then came the Facebook messages, a constant stream of hateful garbage from obviously fake profiles with generic names and stock photos. "You're a monster," one said. "You're tearing apart a loving family." I blocked and reported every single one, knowing it was Mark hiding behind them, probably sitting in a dark room, cackling and petting an imaginary evil cat. He even tried to return the rent money, sending me a box filled with pennies. "Here's your blood money, you greedy child," he wrote in a note, his handwriting as messy as his mental state. I used the pennies to pay for parking meters. Felt petty and amazing at the same time. I later found out from a neighbor that Mark had been going around town, looking all sad and pathetic, telling anyone who would listen this sob story about how his ungrateful stepchild had kicked him out with nothing but the clothes on his back. He even got a free meal at the local diner out of it. The sheer gall of the man. "He's unraveling," Uncle Joe said, shaking his head with a mixture of amusement and concern. "He's desperate, and desperate people desperate and often stupid things." Mark, in a move that defied all logic and reason, actually sued me. He claimed emotional distress and unjust enrichment. His lawyer, a guy who looked like he sold used cars on the side and had a comb-over that defied gravity, presented his evidence with a straight face. I'm still not sure how he managed that. "He paid for utilities," the lawyer argued, his voice dripping with condescension, which arguably increased the property value. Therefore, he's entitled to compensation, damages for emotional distress, and a complimentary dinner at the city's finest steakhouse. "He was paying me rent," I countered, my voice sharp and clear, my patience wearing very thin. "For a house I own. That's not enrichment. That's a failed attempt at fraud. And the steakhouse demand is ridiculous, even for him." Sarah absolutely destroyed them in court. She presented the property deed, the payment records, the security footage, the enhanced restraining order. It was like watching a master chef fillet a fish. The judge looked at Mark like he just tried to buy a Ferrari with Monopoly money and ruled in my favor, decisively, and further strengthened our protections with even more legal jargon. Undeterred, Mark barricaded himself in the garage, declaring it the Independent Republic of Garage Istan. He even made a hand-painted sign with a badly drawn crown and a flag featuring a rusty wrench. "This is my sovereign territory," he yelled, waving the wrench like a weapon, his eyes all wild and crazy. It was both hilarious and terrifying. I claim squatters' rights and declare my independence. Before the police could arrive to deal with this, I took down his Republic sign and put up my own. It read, "Trespassers will be prosecuted. We will defend our home." I was so very proud of that sign. The police, after laughing for a good 5 minutes, escorted him off the property, explaining that squatters' rights don't apply when you've been served with an eviction notice and a restraining order, and that his Republic was a potential felony. After being kicked out of the glorious Republic of Garage Istan, Mark, in a final act of desperation that showed just how disconnected from reality he was, tried to claim ownership of various things inside. My tools, the lawnmower, and even a rusty old bicycle that looked like it belonged in a museum. He demanded their return, claiming they were family heirlooms and essential to his survival. When I asked for proof of ownership, he presented a stack of receipts. "These are clearly photoshopped," the police officer said, holding up a receipt with a cartoon font and a date set in the future. "Mr. Mark, any more of this and you'll be facing fraud charges, and trust me, that's not something you want on your already growing record." Mark, red-faced and sputtering, insisted it was all a setup. "It's a conspiracy. They're trying to frame me. I'm being persecuted for being a good person." "Right?" the officer replied, rolling his eyes so hard I thought they might pop out. "And I'm the Queen of England. Now, get off the property before I cite you for wasting police time." The police were initially going to let him go. They dismissed the photoshopped receipts as petty bickering. It was only because Sarah, bless her relentless soul, insisted on a thorough background check that they discovered a warrant for his arrest in another state, a warrant that had been accidentally missed. He was this close to walking free to potentially continuing his scam somewhere else. The thought makes my skin crawl. Mark made one last desperate attempt. Since he was legally banned from coming near us or the house, he sent a friend, a shady-looking guy I'd never seen before, to try and guilt-trip my mom. The friend relayed a tearful and totally fake message from Mark saying he was broke, heartbroken, and so sorry. "He just wants to apologize," the friend said, not even making eye contact. My mom, standing strong in the doorway with me right beside her, didn't even blink. "Tell Mark," she said, her voice strong and clear, "that his apology is as worthless as he is, and tell him to stay away from us, or the consequences will be much worse than a restraining order." The friend slunk away, defeated. We were taking back our power, one defiant act at a time. Upon his final forced eviction from a temporary place he'd somehow managed to get, he left a parting gift. A final act of petty revenge that was as disgusting as it was predictable. He hid a rotting fish under the kitchen sink. The smell was indescribable. It was like something had died, gone to fish hell, and then died again. I found it a week later when I went to grab a midnight snack and almost threw up. I called a professional cleaner, a woman who looked like she'd seen it all, a veteran of countless biohazard cleanups. "I've seen some messed up stuff," she said, wearing a surgical mask, her eyes showing this weary understanding of how awful humans can be. "But this is beyond gross. It smells like something died, went to fish hell, and then died again." We had the whole house professionally cleaned and sanitized, not just for the smell, but to get rid of Mark's lingering bad vibes. Update 2. With Mark, hopefully gone for good, I started renovating the house, making it ours, not just physically, but symbolically. It wasn't just a house anymore. It was a symbol of our resilience, of our victory. During this, I reconnected with Uncle Joe, my dad's best friend, a man of few words but unwavering kindness, a solid rock who'd always been there for me, like a lighthouse in a storm. He's a master craftsman, and he helped me with the tougher jobs, teaching me skills I never knew I had, sharing not just his knowledge, but also his quiet strength. "Your father always suspected Mark was a con man," he said, handing me a sealed letter, his eyes showing a mixture of sadness and resolve, a deep sorrow for the past and a determined hope for the future. He gave me this to give to you when the time was right. The letter, in my dad's handwriting, was a warning about Mark, telling me to trust my gut and to never let him take advantage of me or my mom. It was a message from beyond the grave, a father's love reaching out to protect his child. It also had a combination to a hidden safe, a secret he'd kept for years, a hidden treasure chest of truth. Intrigued, I searched the house, finally finding the safe hidden behind a loose brick in the fireplace, like something out of a spy movie. Inside, I found a bunch of documents, a secret stash detailing Mark's past, a paper trail of lies and manipulation. The documents revealed a horrifying pattern, a carefully planned scheme that showed Mark wasn't just a controlling jerk, but a seasoned con artist, a predator who preyed on vulnerable people. He had a history of marrying wealthy widows, isolating them from their families, and then slowly draining their bank accounts, leaving them broke and heartbroken. He'd even been investigated in another state, but the case was dropped because there wasn't enough evidence, a loophole he'd clearly exploited. He wasn't just a controlling stepfather. He was a wolf in sheep's clothing, a master manipulator with a chillingly effective game plan. The documents showed shady real estate deals, offshore accounts, and even a history of forging documents. It was a chilling discovery, a glimpse into the manipulative heart of a man I'd mistakenly trusted, a man who'd wormed his way into our lives with calculated precision. Armed with this overwhelming evidence, this arsenal of truth, I went to the police. They were blown away by the scale of Mark's crimes and immediately started an investigation, finally seeing the true extent of his awfulness. He was arrested the next evening, facing a ton of charges, including fraud, embezzlement, elder abuse, and a bunch of other things that painted a picture way more sinister than even I had imagined. The wheels of justice, even though they sometimes move slowly, were finally turning, grinding Mark's lies into dust. Even from jail, he kept up his manipulative BS, sending my mom these rambling letters claiming he'd had a spiritual awakening and begging for forgiveness. "I've seen the light, my dearest," he wrote, his handwriting now shaky and all over the place, a huge difference from the confident writing in his earlier notes. "I'm a changed man. Please give me another chance. I'll be a devoted husband this time. I've found God." The letters were filled with this super sugary, fake-sounding religious stuff, so insincere it practically dripped off the page, a desperate attempt to pull on heartstrings that were long gone. He even tried to get Uncle Joe on his side, sending him a letter filled with religious babble, Bible verses taken completely out of context, and of course asking for bail money. "Brother Joseph," he wrote, they weren't related, and Joe hated being called brother, "I have found redemption in the Lord. Help me secure my release so that I may spread the good word and atone for my past sins. A small contribution to my legal defense fund would be a testament to your faith." Uncle Joe, being the awesome, no-nonsense guy he is, responded with a single perfect sentence typed in bold, all caps, "Go pound sand, Mark, and take your newfound light with you." He then framed the letter and hung it in his workshop, a trophy of his victory over a petty tyrant and a constant reminder of Mark's pathetic desperation. Mark's trial was a spectacle. It was like the whole town showed up, bigger than the annual county fair. The courtroom was packed. Word had gotten around about Mark's scams, his long con finally exposed, and the gallery was filled with people he'd tried to manipulate, swindle, or otherwise screw over throughout the years. They watched, stone-faced like a silent jury of the wronged, as his lies were exposed, one by one, each piece of evidence a nail in the coffin of his fake persona. You could practically feel the collective sigh of relief, this wave of vindication, when the verdict was announced. Guilty. On. All. Counts. The prosecution, led by this woman who made Sarah look like a beginner, meticulously presented the evidence, painting a picture of a manipulative con artist, a predator who preyed on vulnerable women, a man completely lacking in empathy or remorse. The jury deliberated for a shockingly short time, less time than it takes to microwave popcorn, before delivering their verdict. He's now serving a long prison sentence, a just end to his reign of terror, a cage for the wolf in sheep's clothing. My mom is thriving, staying strong in our home, surrounded by a supportive network of friends, old and new, and rediscovering her passions that had been buried for so long. She started painting again, and her artwork is amazing, vibrant and full of life, like a reflection of her own reawakening. and it's now proudly displayed all over the house. The local community rallied around us. Old friends my mom had lost touch with, friends Mark had actively tried to push away, reached out, offering support and friendship, rebuilding the bridges he had tried to destroy. Even the owner of the diner where Mark had scammed that free meal sent us a gift basket filled with homemade goodies and a note apologizing for falling for his lies. A small gesture of solidarity that meant the world. The house, once a war zone, was now filled with laughter, light, and the positive energy of a community coming together. This whole thing has been a nightmare, a trial by fire that tested my strength and resolve, pushing me to limits I didn't even know I had. But it's also been a profound learning experience, a masterclass in human nature, the good and the bad, a reminder that even when things seem hopeless, there's always hope, always the chance for a fresh start, for justice, for healing, and for reclaiming what's rightfully yours. We didn't just survive, we thrived. We didn't just win, we conquered. Thank you, Reddit, for all your support and encouragement throughout this insane journey, this roller coaster of emotions. You've been my virtual family, my online support group, and I honestly don't know how I would have gotten through this without you, without the shared outrage, the virtual hugs, and the unwavering belief that good will triumph over evil. As for Mark, let's just say he won't be getting a Christmas card. I heard from a reliable source, a very chatty prison guard who's a friend of a friend, that Mark's prison nickname is Paisley. Apparently, even hardened criminals have standards. If you thought that was crazy, hit that like button and subscribe for more wild stories. And if you didn't quite enjoy it, feel free to hit the dislike. Your feedback means a lot. Drop a comment below and let me know what you think or share your own experiences. And don't forget to check out my other videos for more insane tales. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. If you thought that was crazy, hit that like button and subscribe for more wild stories. And if you didn't quite enjoy it, feel free to hit the dislike. Your feedback means a lot. Drop a comment below and let me know what you think or share your own experiences. And don't forget to check out my other videos for more insane tales. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.